Disclaimer: this podcast is not nor does not constitute as providing medical advice or professional services. The information provided should not be used for diagnosing or treating health problems or disease. Those seeking personal medical advice should consult with a licensed physician, and as always, please seek the advice of your doctor or other qualified health provider regarding a medical condition. If you think you may have a medical emergency, call 911 or go to the nearest emergency room immediately. Thank you. Enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to My Head Hurts. I'm your host, Ciara again. Just wanted to give a quick update before we begin. It is just me again today, and this is just going to be an audio recording because it's just not as hype when it's just me. So I figured let's save the good visuals for when Marley, Joe, and Rachel are here to join us. Let's get started. Today we're diving into Parkinson's disease, which is a disease that affects millions of people worldwide. Now, you may recognize this condition as some of the most well-known celebrities have been affected. Michael J. Fox, Muhammad Ali, Ozzy Osbourne, and Robin Williams are just a few celebrities who have shared their struggles with Parkinson's, some of which have even started organizations that bring more awareness to the disease. But what exactly is Parkinson's disease, and why is it so important to understand? Parkinson's disease is a progressive neurodegenerative disorder with no known cause. So I'm going to break down a couple of the terms. Neurodegenerative means that Neurodegenerative means that it causes the gradual breakdown or the death of nerve cells. Dopamine acts like a messenger, and it sends signals from the brain to the muscles that helps you move smoothly. So when those neurons in the substantia nigra start to die, your brain's ability to control and coordinate muscle movements is severely affected in a detrimental way. Pathology: the degeneration of dopaminergic neurons in the substantia nigra, which leads to motor symptoms like tremors, bradykinesia, and rigidity. Yet, there have been recent studies about the cerebellum's impact on PD. Recent studies by, please don't get mad at me if I botch these names, Junichi Yoshida, Maritza One, Lila Katami, George Vera, Varsan Nadim, and Carmen Goroka often announce the importance of the cerebellum in movement and motor control. But as it has been researched in more depth by other researchers, it has been discovered that the cerebellum can influence the basal ganglia circuits, which are critical for controlling movement, by modulating motor planning, execution, and coordination. Dysfunctional cerebellar activity has been implicated in some of the motor impairments as seen in Parkinson's, especially gait and postural instability. One of the proposed mechanisms involves the cerebello-thalamo-cortical pathways, which connect the cerebellum to the cerebral cortex and the basal ganglia. Sorry guys, I was just at last unit in AP Psychology, we're learning about ganglion cells. Hopefully they're related. In Parkinson's disease, these pathways might become disrupted, contributing to both motor and non-motor symptoms, such as cognitive changes or emotional dysregulation. Furthermore, the cerebellum's role is highlighted in motor learning, which could be impaired in PD, affecting the ability of individuals to adjust their movements or learn new motor patterns. So, who gets Parkinson's disease? Parkinson's is most commonly diagnosed in patients over the age of 60, but it can affect younger people too. About 5 to 10% of the cases are considered young-onset Parkinson's, meaning they develop before the age of 50. It's also more common in men than women, though the reasons for this are still unclear and unresearched. But it's not just something that happens in the elderly. It can affect anyone, regardless of background or lifestyle. That's one of the things that can make it so unpredictable and hard to discover the root cause of. As Parkinson's progresses, it can bring on a wide range of symptoms, many of which are related to movement. There are many symptoms, including both motor and non-motor, but we're going to go over a few of them right now. So, tremors. Tremors are one of the most recognizable symptoms of Parkinson, which can come in the form of a resting tremor. This typically starts in one hand, and the patients even will describe it as a pill-rolling tremor, where it feels like their fingers are rolling a small object even when they're not trying to move. The tremor usually appears when the person is at rest and tends to diminish during voluntary movements, but not everyone with Parkinson's will experience tremors. Some may have other symptoms without this one. Another symptom is postural instability, also known as a balance problem. People with Parkinson's often experience balance problems, which can lead to falls. They may find it difficult to maintain an upright posture, and their gait may become shuffling or unsteady. Parkinson's affects the brain's ability to coordinate complex movements like walking and turning, which is why this lack of balance will come into play. Bradykinesia is another one of the symptoms. It's a slowness of movement. That's actually what it means. It refers to the gradual loss of spontaneous movement. This is why you may notice that someone with Parkinson's has difficulties with tasks that require quicker fluid movements, like getting out of a chair, buttoning a shirt, or even walking. This is why you may notice that someone with Parkinson's may have difficulty with tasks that require quicker fluid movements, like getting out of a chair. Over time, even facial expressions can become less prominent, and they may even have a masked face, which can make them look less expressive. Another symptom is muscle stiffness. When muscles become rigid, they can feel tight and sore, making it harder for the person to move their limbs freely. The muscles become less able to stretch and contract, which can also cause pain and discomfort in people with PD. So what's it like to live with Parkinson's disease? Living with Parkinson's disease requires both physical and emotional adjustments to be made over time. People with Parkinson's often face challenges that go beyond visible symptoms, like managing their medication, dealing with the emotional toll of the disease, and navigating through social situations. Support groups and therapy can play an important role in managing the mental health aspects of the disease. So make sure that if you are a loved one, I should say, has Parkinson's disease, make sure you are looking into that. So let's start off by discussing a few people, diving into their lives, diagnosis, careers, and accomplishments. So let's start off with Michael J. Fox. I think he's one of the most famous people that has been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Michael J. Fox was born on June 9th, 1961. He was diagnosed when he was about 30 years old. He's best known, of course, for Back to the Future, one of my favorite movies, and Family Ties. And he didn't let this disease defy him. He actually founded the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's Research. I love Back to the Future. It's one of my top 3 favorite movies, and after researching more about Michael J. Fox's life, I was actually inspired to create this episode on PD. His accomplishments and perseverance through his diagnosis has really inspired me, and it fueled my interest to make an episode completely dedicated to this disease. Muhammad Ali also had Parkinson's disease. He was born January 17th of 1942, and he died in 2016. He was diagnosed when he was 42 in 1984 with Parkinson's. Of course, Muhammad Ali was a legendary boxer. He was a 3-time world heavyweight champion, and he just had an iconic boxing career. Whenever I feel like I think of boxing, I think of Rocky, which is fictional, and then Muhammad Ali. Ozzy Osbourne was born December 3rd, 1948, and he was diagnosed in 2003. He's the lead singer of Black Sabbath, and he's also a solo artist. My father says that he defined heavy metal, but I know him more because he's married to one of my favorite TV show hosts, Sharon Osbourne, because me and my friend used to love watching Britain's Got Talent, and she was just so real. Robin Williams was born July 21st, 1951, and he was diagnosed in 2014. He was an actor and comedian known for Good Will Hunting, Mrs. Doubtfire, and Aladdin, and he had an Oscar-winning career and an unforgettable comedic legacy. This just goes to show that just because there's no found cause for Parkinson's, each diagnosis is not defining, and there's always going to be hope for the future in finding new forms of medication and treatments. While Parkinson's disease doesn't have a cure yet, there's a lot of ongoing research aimed at the betterment of treatments and potential breakthroughs. Scientists are studying everything from gene therapies to new drug treatments, and there's hope that one day there will be a way to slow or even halt the progression of the disease. Organizations like the Michael J. Fox Foundation are leading the charge, and with continued research and support, there's a bright future ahead for those living in Parkinson's. And that's a wrap on today's dive into Parkinson's disease. We've covered everything from the basics of what it is and how it can affect the brain and body, to the different treatments and ways to live with the disease. If you or someone you know is affected by Parkinson's, remember that you are not alone. There is a whole community of support out there. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of My Head Hurts. As always, I'm your host, Ciara Costigan. And if you found today's episode helpful or educational, please consider sharing it with someone who you think might benefit from this information. Until next time, take care of your brain and your body, and thank you so much for listening. If you have not already, please be sure to rate this 5 stars on Spotify, give it a big thumbs up on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube, put the bell on YouTube, follow our TikTok, follow our Instagram, all at My Head Hurts. Sometimes it's at My Head Hurts Podcast if you can't find us. Share this with someone you love. Share it with me even, if you know me. Thank you so much for listening. I am very appreciative that I could have this time to, edify you a little bit more on a disease that isn't very frequently taught or addressed. Again, thank you all. Have a great night. Stay safe.
Disclaimer. This podcast is made for educational purposes only. The research stated in this podcast was simply sourced by the host of My Head Hurts. That they stated was derived for the purpose of copyright, and we do not claim to own or have created anything stated. All rights remain to their discoverers and sources, which are listed in the description and on the source page of each episode.